City of Valley Center Council meeting for Tuesday, November 15th, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerillo,
Here.
Councilmember Stam,
Here.
Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Bass, Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Gregory,
Here.
Councilmember Kerstetter,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to live in this wonderful community. Thank you for these men and women that lead this community, and thank you that your hand is upon it. I pray that you give us wisdom and discernment as we make decisions that impact all of us. In Jesus' name, amen.
As I normally do when there's any type of scouts in the in uniform in the room, I ask them to please lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I have talked to them, and they will get this going for us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scouts. Item 5, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Item 6, administration agenda, city council meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 1st, 2022, regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. We have no presentations or proclamations. We are now at that time of the meeting. Get to the right spot. For our public forum, at this time, we allow anybody to speak to an item that is not on the agenda. I currently have one person that would like to speak. Mr. Jet Truman, you may please approach the podium. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
For you that don't know me, I'm Jet Truman. I just wanted to come tonight to thank the council, the fire department, the police department. I recently graduated from the Citizens Police Academy. There were 3 of us in that class. I've been in Valley Center for too many years, and that was a real eye-opener, and I appreciate everybody's support for that program. I'd like to see more participation in that program, but if it gets too big, it will be a handful. But I just wanted to thank you all for that, and that's all I've got to say.
Well, thank you very much. And we know Captain Vogt puts a lot into this, and he is very proud of it. And I thoroughly appreciate the feedback, because that's something we don't get a whole lot of a lot of times. And
Well, that's kind of what I thought.
Yep.
And it was a good program. It was an eye-opener for this old guy, so.
great. Well, thank you so much. All right. I'm going to no appointments, so we will move on to old business. Item ordinance 1383-22.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank City Administrator Clark for presenting this for its first reading. I do have 2 issues with it that are totally my fault, but have been corrected with the city clerk and for the official record. In the heading, the 3rd line down, center was misspelled, so that has been corrected. And then in the section that says, therefore be it ordained, the of Valley Center was written twice. That has been omitted. So just want to make sure that council was aware for the official record that these 2 changes have been made to this ordinance. And then also, I was able to listen to the last city council meeting, and Councilmember Gregory did want to make sure that you were aware that the floodplain maps are available on the city's website. There's a wonderful link to FEMA's website with the formal maps. But again, thank you for working with my department on this. Again, this will make sure that we continue to adhere to and maintain our good status with the community rating system and the National Flood Insurance Program. So thank you.
Council, just a note, please make sure that whoever reads the motion ends it with as amended. Do I have somebody that's
Sure. Motion.
I didn't mean to scare anybody.
Motion to approve ordinance 1383-22, a repeal and replacement of the City of Valley Center's floodplain management regulations for second reading as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move along to new business. Item A, Valley Center Recreation and Aquatic Complex Civil Engineering Agreement.
Good evening. I'm Jake Basho with SCEH. I'm the project manager for the site design for the Aquatic Center. We've kind of already gotten started with SJCF on some of the site planning and design for the Aquatic Center. Also wanted to introduce Samantha Garib, who's new to SEH as of a couple weeks ago. She is our lead for business development and construction services in this area. She's in the Wichita area.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Council? Tough crowd tonight. Councilmember Kerstetter.
So this might be actually for Mr. Clark. In here, let me make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay. In here, it mentions a 15-acre plot. Is that formal, or is that? I feel like I'm missing some information as far as the 15-acre plot on the north side of town.
Yes, and so in total, the city is looking at acquiring, plus or minus 30 acres. Of course, the pool and the new indoor pool and the recreation center, won't cover an entire 30-acre parcel. So this is really identifying 15 acres of that 30 in the far southwest corner of that property. And so kind of where the current existing, not the brick house, but the house that's hidden in the trees, that may or may not get frequented by some of our young residents. That area there is kind of the 15 acres.
Okay.
So really looking at that. Of course, with the process that we're going through on the pool or on the recreation and aquatic center, we did receive, I think it was 2 or 3 different proposals, and this was the most cost effective of the 3. And so, of course, with the recommendation from McCown Gordon as well as SJCF, that is why we're presenting SEH as the one to actually approve. So then we don't gotta go through all the bidding and all that stuff.
Sounds good. I feel like I have another question, but that's all I got for right now.
Anybody else?
I move to approve the agreement with Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc. for civil engineering design for the Recreation and Aquatic Center in the amount of $64,850 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, approval of contract for Phase 1, design of water treatment plant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I was going to present this, but actually we do have Brian Meyer here with Burns and McDonald, who you met a few meetings ago, that will actually present the agreement to you. So, Brian.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council members. Happy to be here again, and just wanted to express our excitement and appreciation for this opportunity. There's a lot of, if you've had a chance to take a look at the agreement, the scope's fairly well outlined, and it kind of goes in the order of criticality in the data that we need to start the process to get into the selection of the most appropriate treatment process for the new water treatment plant. And then it starts to build from there in regard to the actual design of the treatment facility, how we're going to manage the waste stream, how we're going to convey the raw water to the plant. So that's, as you look through that scope, that's kind of the progression. And rather than go too deep into the weeds on the scope, I'll just open up for any questions on any aspect of it.
Council? Councilmember Kerstetter.
So in your proposal here, you're gonna have, it's gonna be, you call it phase one with task 1 and 2. You're gonna have something back to us in 240 calendar days.
Yes, and that's a great point because the 240 calendar days is kind of the duration of the contract. There's going to be a tremendous amount of communication and collaboration through that point. So there really will be that same buildup. It's one of the beautiful things about design build. Collaboration and effective communication and constant communication, with the owner and with the regulators, that's what's going to make it successful. So there's going to be a lot of in between, but then we would look to have a final report, a guaranteed price at the end of that 240 days, but you'll know much sooner than that, the direction everything is going.
Okay, sounds good. I like having communication.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
Motion to enter into an agreement with Burns and McDonald CAS LLC for phase 1 of the design of the water treatment plant in the amount not to exceed $350,000 and authorize mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, approval of pool renovation agreement with McCown Gordon.
All right, again, we have special guests with us. So I will turn it over to Todd and Jake with Count Gordon to run through the agreement and stand for any questions once they're done.
Thank you, Brent. Mayor, council members, before you today, you've got our deliverable packet for GMP Amendment Number 1 for the repairs and renovations to Lions Park Pool. The first page on there is just a general overview, some of the major items that are being added to the project in addition to the pool basin repairs. And Jake and I are happy to go into as much detail as you guys would like. But generally speaking, we really took those survey questions to heart of more deck space, more shade, just went through that and made sure that we were able to fit as much as we could within that budget as we understood it to be. So with that, we'll stand for any questions that anybody has.
Councilmember Colbert.
The only thing I'm looking at is, you said on the allowances for the shrinkage, crack repair area is $5,000.
Yeah, we identified that. Simply when we get in there and start sandblasting that pool basin, we don't know what's underneath the surface. So that amount will cover any additional cracks or spalling we identify after we do that process.
Would it be more than that?
That was a recommendation off the trade partner. Gave us a unit cost and we assumed so much foot there.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Looking at your timeline, so provided weather doesn't get in the way, that's Kansas, so it's probably going to. We could theoretically have this open May of 23 still.
Yes, that's the plan. We've identified some lead items in there. The grading and the shades are the lead items that we need to get procured and ordered. But we're looking to be done at the beginning part of May so that there's still time to fill the pool, do lifeguard training, get everything up and running for the summer 23 season.
Okay. And I've got one more question for Mr. Clark. It's more of a clarification for all of our people watching and listening here. So the pool projects, we have the aquatic center, and then we have this project. It's being paid for. One out of the. How's it being paid for?
It's being funded by, of course, the sales tax that was voted and approved by 64 and what percent that Mr. Neil Owens actually guessed exactly right, by the way. I want to make sure to note that we all put a little wagers on it as far as, just guessing. And Neil hit it on the head, like exactly like down to the dot. And so, of course, sales tax. Sales tax is generating higher amount of revenue than originally anticipated. and then also the 2 mil increase that was passed by the Rec Commission. Of course, that goes district-wide for USD 262. We're really wanting to pay for the majority of it with sales tax, and then the mill levy, the 2 mil increase. Hopefully, we'll pay more for the operation side as they get up and going. Of course, there'll be a little bit of waiting for memberships and trying to hone in on exactly the programming and all those things. But yes, this is kind of phase one. Is Lions Park pool renovations. Later on, we did have a component on here of a splash pad that are going to go kind of right over by the sand volleyball court area. With doing this process and doing design build, we were able then to identify that as kind of a really high scope the time that we bid it. And these fantastic people asked the contractors, hey, why is the pricing so high on the splash pad? They said, really, it was due to the time frame that in order to get it done and try to have it open by May, it just was going to increase the price substantially. So we were able then to remove that section of it for right now and then put that in the bid packet when we do the actual rec center and indoor aquatic, the natatorium. And then we'll put that splash pad on that same one that will go kind of where the sand volleyball pit is, just south of the diving boards. Now, there will be a fence there. You're not just going to have wide open kids run into the deep end, so don't think that. It's going to be laid out great. But it was coming in 300, 400,000 more. Yeah, and so, that's kind of one of the reasons why it's great to do this process. So then we looked at it and go, hey, we're about $1 million over budget. We need to figure out how to trim it up a little bit and get the best bang for our buck. And let Todd go ahead and talk.
Sure. Thanks, Brent. What we identified, or what Jake really identified through the bidding process, was all the aquatics contractors already had their backlog through really next fall. And so there wasn't a lot of interest in that splash pad portion. We did receive 2 bids, only one of which was qualified. In the pricing was just, it reflected it. So when we asked the question and said, what can we do to reel this price into what it should be? And they said, man, if that was with the pool, we're really interested in it. And Jake reached out to 32 aquatics contractors that we've done business with over the course of as long as McCown Gordon's been in business, and developed some really good relationships with those people. And that was the consistent feedback that we got, was they were busy, but they were really interested in it if it's part of the big project. So we felt like that was just some great feedback that we got, and some savings that we can give back to the project and drive some value into it. So still looking to have that be part of the project when it's all said and done.
One more question I just thought of. As far as the total phase 1 and phase 2, how is our budget? I don't remember what our budget is, or what we're thinking the total budget would be.
And so, we're still, of course, looking at the sales tax revenue coming in, the property tax generation. And so the original estimate was around that 10.5 million. And so, we'll be north of that, and we're still, kind of finalizing the overall budget and what the maximum will be with the committee.
All right, thanks.
Councilmember Gregory.
As I understand it, the shallow pool will be gone, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The bottom left of that is going to be filled in, and there'll be a shade structure put over that.
And then the splash pad is for the smaller children.
Correct.
But that won't be built until a year later.
Yes, it would go with the larger portion of the project with the
Okay.
natatorium.
Is there any zero entry?
Not in this design here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep, and we are working on that, of course, in the new indoor natatorium, of making sure that is a component. We did see examples of potential indoor aquatics last week, and we sent them back to the drawing board saying, hey, we have to have some type of a zero entry or something for the families in the new indoor natatorium. So the budget just wasn't there to put that in the existing pool, especially now that we're leaving, the locker rooms and all the 3 buildings that are there. We just really couldn't afford to put that in this location. But with the splash pad, splash pad gets a tremendous amount of use, throughout a longer period and season. And this splash pad that will be on the south side of the diving board area, it'll be open longer than the actual pool, and so it'll have the ability to open earlier, and then or around the same time, maybe a little bit earlier, but also stay open longer and be able to isolate it from the pool. But then when the pool is open, we'll be able to shut that off. So then you'll have to pay to then enter it. But then when the pool's not open, then the splash pad part will be.
Run that by me. When the pool is open,
Yep. Then it will not be free to the public.
the splash pad or the pool?
The splash pad.
Oh, okay.
And then when the pool isn't open, and so let's say the pool doesn't open until noon or 11 o'clock, well, splash pads normally open at 8 or 9, 10 a.m. And so the splash pad will be open at that time, free to the public. But then when the pool is open, then it'll shut. So then you can enjoy it by going through the pool.
Okay.
Since the pool has just such short hours.
But the fence, there will still be a fence. I'm trying to think of a mother with a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old. I'm thinking,
Yep, and so that
she's
mother
going to
will
have
be-
a problem.
Yep, that mother will be in a beautiful shade structure watching. There'll be an entrance in between the 2 kind of lighter yellow shade structures that goes to
Okay.
the south to the splash pad.
You can sort of see a
at-
opening. There we go.
There. As the other 7-year-olds probably playing in the larger pool, and then mom or dad or grandma and grandpa can watch the kid go to the splash pad where there's no standing water, and then can see if the kid then comes back into the pool there heading north. So great layout, really good design, and I think it will be very functional.
Hope so.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve agreement with Cowan Gordon for the pool renovation at Lions Park in the amount not to exceed $899,000 and $984, and authorize the mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item D, approval of farmland agreement. You sure you don't have anybody else here? You've gotten out of all the other ones so far because
I
people
know,
showed up.
Janice, you want to talk on this one? Yeah, I told you, Mayor, I wasn't going to talk this evening, but I don't know if you're agenda. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a different farmland agreement. I know we had one on the previous agenda. This is for the area in the Tax Increment Financing District, or the TIF area. As we work through the permitting process with the Corps of Engineers, this is for the ground just south of 5th Street on the west side of Seneca, right where we're going to be digging the regional detention basin and all that area, and then also the larger kind of square area that will be a reserve. So include that area, the 18 acres give or take, and then also all of the Reserve A that will be also in this agreement. Winter wheat. Dan, for any questions?
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Does this include the area they've already excavated in the northeast corner of this?
No, nope, that did not get any topsoil put on it, and so it's kind of hard to grow some crops on that.
No, that's great, because that would be a waste of our money if we let them,
Oh, you wasted their money.
Their money.
their money. Well, I was
Yeah, we're not
thinking-
paying anything for seed or fertilizer or any of that. We're just going to sit back and collect the cash.
Yeah. Nope. That's it.
All right. Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve rental agreement between City of Valley Center and Timothy Austin.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, DAR, Wreaths Across America. Introduce.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Here is a letter that we received from the Little Arkansas chapter of Daughters of the American Revolution. This is for their annual Wreaths Across America. Every year they've come to us here in the past to request financial assistance as well as opportunity to put the wreaths on the cemetery. And we are going to have a nice ceremony December 17th at 11 a.m. Councilmember Colbert, I think you have some information regarding this. You may have talked with the folks that ordered the wreaths for other veterans and maybe the pricing has increased or?
Well, it depends on which organization they're going to use, because there is an increase on the wreaths this year. I had was thinking about the American Legion of buying some wreaths to use for the cemetery. And when I went to call the manufacturer, they said, yeah, there will be about a 5% increase. And that means depending on the size of the wreath, of course.
I know that, in the past, Gail Wilmanson has been here to present, as well as Pam Porter. Of course, Ms. Porter recently passed, so it's kind of probably why there's a little disorganization this year. So I'm sure that they do apologize. I think last year, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, it was around $300 of the donation. Past 2 years of a $300 donation. So I would recommend us, potentially increasing that if they need to with inflation, to amount recommended by you all, whether it be 300 or maybe 400, and tell them not to exceed $400 this year. We do have funds in the budget. I did talk with Mr. Smith prior to the meeting, and so I think that a $400 recommendation would not be out. And for questions, I can't answer.
Council.
I'm all in favor of $100.
I move to approve the donation to the DAR for the Wreaths Across America program in the amount of $400 and allow the ceremony to be held on December 17th at 11 a.m.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item F, set public hearing for financial year 2022 budget amendment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we are going to set the public hearing for the fiscal year 22 budget amendment. As you know, we budget about 18 months early ahead of time. We try to do the best we can when it comes to expected expenditures, et cetera. But these are mainly for the TIF district, which we found out all of our costs in early this year, even though we budgeted in June of 21. We need to increase that fund to match that expenditure threshold. And same thing with streets. We want to utilize that extra sales tax money to put towards the 4th Street project, since we allocated that project to using all concrete there. So whatever we can draw down or pay down in cash, utilizing the extra sales tax increase, will lower our overall debt over time on that one. And last one is just the pool and rec fund. This is just an estimate at the time until we got our final numbers the same day the agenda went out. So not really necessary on the pool one, but we'll go ahead and keep it in there anyways. But once again, this is just increasing our maximum expenditure authority for the year. That way we don't have a budget violation.
Council questions. Councilmember Kerstetter.
You just said it was a sales tax increase. Clarify which part of the sales tax?
So the Special Streets and Highway Fund, the sales tax that we receive for the city, it's not the local option 1% sales tax utilized for the pool. It's just the countywide 1% sales tax that is distributed. Okay. Then along with this, we'll have to set a public hearing for December 6th, just like we do in our normal budget process. This will be published in this week's paper, and then we'll have our hearing on December 6th and approve the budget amendment.
Motion to publish the fiscal year 2022 budget amendment summary in the Ark Valley News on November 17th and set 7 p.m. December 6, 2022 at City Hall as the time, date, and place to conduct a public hearing regarding amendments to the 2022 budget.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in,
Sorry, can we make these motions shorter?
We can.
but it may not include all the important information.
All right, I'm just asking.
With the new budget laws, it's very good to be thorough.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Wilson's getting a little short-winded over here.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Item 12, consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Moving on to staff reports. Mr. Schrack.
Nothing other than hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. 2, Mr. Owens. Chief Newman. Mr. Shear, not here. Mr. Arbuckle. Mr. Smith. Mr. I'm not going to talk today, Mr. Clark. Is there anybody else by the name of Clark in the room?
You never know.
Well, that's why I thought maybe I'd give them a chance.
Good evening. Well, we flew through that one. So just a few things. We are going to be doing our PBS Winter Telethon coming up. So we do have the December 5th time slot for 6:15. We'll be answering phones from 7 to 10. So if anybody would like to volunteer, do have our probably number one telethon volunteers in Miss Gita Gregory, Councilmember Gregory, and Jim Gregory. So always appreciate all your enthusiasm that you bring. So I do have openings for that as well. You do get a free dinner, free food. Also, too, next Tuesday is our Community Foundation Pie Auction. It is from 6:30 p.m. to 9 at the venue. Come for your free pie tasting. If you haven't had a chance, please check out the city's pie video. I think
we may have that queued up.
Oh, you did.
Oh, yes, we do.
Now, I do believe
Hopefully the audio works. I'm not sure.
that we need Mr. Schrack up here.
No.
And if Rodney was here, I'd put him up here too.
Yes, I have to admit, go ahead and play the video. Let's see if it works. Yep.
Macarena made an appearance. Thank you. Well, check out our Facebook page or Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn if you want to see it in full motion. So after that, I mean,
Yeah.
what could I answer? Any questions? I know there's many.
Councilmember Anderson happens to have one.
Yes, I have a question/comment. I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm in that, and all of the staff, and I didn't know if there was some type of bonus paid out to participate or if there was blackmail used. But thank you to everyone that participated, because that's that kind of stuff that goes out makes our city fun. And even if it was stressful for some of you, thank you very much for
Good time.
that was all.
We do have job openings available. We have a great time. So, I don't know why you wouldn't want to come and work.
Yeah, that's a great HR
That was a great
promo.
follow-up for that. Perfect.
My daughters actually said, Dad, you should market your job openings with a TikTok video. So I will get buried right on that.
And you know what? I know your daughters, and that is probably a smart idea, knowing those two. So, but all right. Well, thank you, sir. I don't see any other questions. Moving along to governing body reports. I have nothing. I just wanted to make sure that video got played. Councilmember Stam.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Anderson.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Gregory.
I have nothing.
Before I move on, are one of you going to do a report on the SCAC meeting? Or otherwise, I have a question. I don't care if it's not you. I'll wait till I get down to him. So, all right, Councilmember Kerstetter.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Wilson.
Not after that video.
Councilmember Colbert.
Oh, what's your question?
The question is the thing that was brought up about Fire District 1. Can you give me just, I mean, I've read bits of it. I'm still not sure I understand what they're trying to attempt to do here. Do you have some better insight on that?
Yes. and no.
Okay.
The discussion was that the fire department District 1 wants to go on their own and not be responsible to the Sedgwick County Commissioners.
Okay.
As far as the ruling goes. That involves, and Lloyd, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would involve moving some fire stations around, isn't it, right?
I don't know a whole lot about it. I've just heard that recently myself. Yeah, they're wanting to separate from Sedgwick County and become their own entity. So,
Yeah, and they have that plan, and it'll be a couple of years before they do it.
well, and I'm sure it would have to get past the legislators as well. So there's a lot of things that have to happen before that becomes a reality.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, since they already have an existing levy, a separate levy on the tax rolls, they want to basically separate away and have their own body, governing body that they report to. In some instances, those would be elected positions. Kind of depends on how they set it up, and so it'd be a separate entity entirely funded by that tax
Well,
levy.
they do have plans for a board to be set up.
Right.
And what's the chief's name? Sedgwick County.
Williams.
I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they would still have to have their own board.
Yeah, and they have to do selection of members. There's a whole rigmarole that goes along with this. It's like setting up a brand new business.
Well, in this case, it's almost like setting up a brand new chunk of government, which I know is not a simple.
But this is just an advisory board. They will report to the county commissioners. So it's still, at this point, going to have to go through the county commission until it's
Right,
through
until
the
they get it.
legislature
Okay.
and they get something set up.
Correct. So it kind of, in a nutshell, it's kind of like the rec commission, is currently, where the rec commission, has, the school board ultimately approves their budget and is their overall authority, but then they have an authority to spend, their levy that they are receiving in their budget that's approved by, kind of like the library is to us, a little bit, but they then would set it up to have the potential opportunity to separate, which I've seen. So, but I'm sure it's long ways. I'm sure we'll have information from it. But the number one thing, I really want to thank the Public Safety Director Newman and the governing body and everyone that did choose, multiple many years ago, to separate and have our own public safety and fire. I think that was a big step forward in the direction that leads us to where we are today with keeping taxes low overall, with difference in levies, and really the foresight to see that happening. So great job to the governing body that did do that.
We have to remember there's nothing wrong.
Right. And in reality, it's not going to really affect us. It's just, well, it may. Okay.
I'm going to say the thing that we would probably want to keep an eye on is, I think as part of that, they would want to set the boundaries they have now. They want to keep what they have. They don't want to keep losing, which means any, further annexations or anything could potentially affect us. Doesn't mean we couldn't do it, but they would still get their money from that area.
Yeah, there's only two cities that would affect us, Hanover, I believe, is the other
Not affect.
Being
Oh,
separated.
anyway, well, the cities that have their own fire department, it would affect us in that we would, you know, in the future, if we decided to annex and they had a set boundary already in that fire district 1, then, you know, there would be concerns on the money, where the money in that area is going to go.
That was one of my thoughts about that's the part, one of the parts that I heard that caught my attention. That's why.
That's probably the biggest thing we would keep in mind.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Go ahead. You may continue. I'm sorry to take your time there out of that, though.
Some of the things I want to talk to you about tonight is, first of all, if anybody has in mind any legislative or are interested in legislative, please let me know before the 1st of December so we can, when I go up to Topeka, I can talk to some of the individuals up there and ask them, what programs that benefit the city. And that was by invitation to come up and do that. So, and I'll need to get with you, Mayor, and the city administrator, what your projections will be. The other thing is we have some activities that are coming up. Is anybody interested in a Thanksgiving meal? Free? We are, the Lions Club here is going to have one at the Valley Center Methodist Church on 24th from 12:30 to 1:30 with all the fixings and that on there. Terry Witchman is the program chairman of that. And he's looking for some volunteers if somebody wants to help out. And it's open to the general public. So how many people, we don't know, but the average has been about 100 to 150 on there on that. The final thing is, as of yesterday, I learned that there may be some changes coming in with the program called youth programs. I don't know if it's going to affect the school system or not, but I'll have some more information on that in a couple of weeks on there. If there's no other business before the council, then
I have one more thing for you before you make that motion. Again, I want to thank you for all the extra stuff you do. And I, as I've told you multiple times, thoroughly appreciate it. And I it's great that you do that for us.
make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
I have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.